I want you guys to listen very, very close at what I'm about to say. Pay attention to the details because this is getting serious. Now I'm going to go over the report when DThang was murdered. The brother of Chicago rapper Lil Durk was killed over the weekend in a shooting that also wounded a police officer at a strip club in South Harvey. Police were investigating if another fatal shooting hours later was a possible retaliation. Dante Banks, who performed as DThang, was killed in a chaotic scene at Club O, where multiple shots were fired and lots of weapons were recovered early Sunday morning, according to Harvey spokeswoman Giovanni Nixon. Shortly before Banks was shot, a Harvey police officer heard gunfire and noticed a person with a gun at the club located at 17038 South Hostage Street. More gunfire erupted during an altercation and the officer was hit in the thigh. Nixon said this, and it was unclear if the officer returned the fire, and Nixon stated that it was uncertain if the officer was targeted. However, about 500 feet away, 32-year-old Banks was shot in his head. Nixon stated, among the other shots flying, DThang was caught in it. So around 2 a.m. that morning, another person was killed in a possible retaliation shooting. Police responded to a shooting victim at 148 West 155th Street, and this was a block west of Ingalls Memorial Hospital. Sanicia Price, 39, was taken to the South Suburban Hospital in Hazelcrest and pronounced dead with a gunshot wound. Lil Durk, whose real name is Dirk Banks, hasn't commented on his brother's death. Last year, Banks lost another rapper on the Family label, King Von, who was shot and killed in November outside a club in Atlanta. In 2014, Banks' cousin MacArthur Swindle, who rapped as the name OTF Nunu, was shot and killed in Chatham. Now let's get to the meat and potatoes. Please listen closely and pay attention to the details. Lil Durk's slain brother's friend was sought after a cop was shot during the gunfight at a suburban Chicago strip club. After a warrant was issued for his arrest, Devin R. English denied the police account of what took place at the night club where Lil Durk's brother Dante DThang Banks was shot dead. So the warrant was issued for Mr. English as far as Tuesday went, and the suburban man who was allegedly involved in the police officer shooting during the chaotic scene outside the Harvey strip club earlier in the month, in which we all know Lil Durk's brother was killed. Devin R. English is 23 and he lives in Maywood, and he was wanted for aggravated battery to a peace officer and aggravated unlawful use of a weapon in connection to the June 6th shooting outside of Club Ocean. So English was the associated of Dante Banks, and now they're saying he was the associate who was fatally wounded in a separate shooting that happened around the same time in the club's parking lot. So no charges have been filed in English's case or Banks's killing. So he was reached by phone and he was unaware that a warrant had been issued for his alleged role in the officer's shooting. And he said none of that's true. He said after learning about those allegations that were going against him. So it seems that as the club was closing that night, a police officer who was stationed outside the club, and he was there for crowd control, he reported that gunfire erupted throughout the lot. He stated that multiple gunshots rang out as the Patreons fled into all directions. And according to a police report in which noted that security guards were there as well. And this was around the same time English was allegedly involved in a physical altercation. So a pair of officers responded when one of the cops noticed that he had a handgun and he rustled the gun out of his hand. Police records show this. And in this instant, the officer was then shot in his thigh. And then that's when English took off and the officer was listed in good condition, according to Harvey's spokeswoman. So after that, English said he was unsure what had happened elsewhere in the parking lot, though he noted that an argument broke out and others started shooting as he was wrestling with the officers. A police report notes that the firearms began discharging by unknown subjects at the southeast corner of the building, and so with that returned gunfire by unknown subjects at the northeast corner of the building. Guys, this is not making any sense. For one, they stated in the first story that DThang was 500 feet away from where the gunfire was. Let's go back to that part, because it seems like Mr. English and these police officers are really trying to distract what really happened. That's just my opinion. I'm giving you guys what's here. I'm reading the report as it is on black and white. I'm not adding or taking away anything. Like I said, this story is not making sense. Because how did it even come to the fact that they even approached English? English was with DThang. So if English was with DThang and the officers were hounding, it sounds like, Mr. English, don't you guys think that they would know? No one's mentioning that DThang is laying on the ground bleeding. They're going back and forth about a gun. He's tussling and he accidentally shoots the officer in the thigh. They never brought up DThang. So if DThang was 500 feet away from where they started shooting, all of this is occurring while they're shooting? Listen to what I just said, guys. This is not making any sense. So after the northeast corner of the building is where they were exchanging gunfire. Officers ultimately found Banks near the SUV that was damaged by gunfire. Multiple shell casings were found nearby. The individual had an unruly crowd surrounding him. A police report shows this, okay? This is what they're stating. A large puddle of blood was near his head and neck area. Now they're stating that he had an unruly crowd surrounding him. So I'm just trying to picture this. So he had an unruly crowd surrounding him while Mr. English and the police officers are tussling. And the police officers do not see this. They do not hear gunfire. They do not hear the unruly crowd around him. It seems like two things are happening at one time. This is how I know this is some underhanded shit. Now listen to this, guys. Because when they first announced this, they announced that Little Durk's brother was shot and killed. And, they had no suspects. They had nothing, right? So listen to this. So after the shooting, there were 4 different types of shell casings littered in the parking lot. And blood-like stains covering the pavement in multiple locations. They stated that DThang was shot and killed, and I know that they stated that Money Making Trail was hit also. I did see a video of him on Instagram where he's on crutches, and this just so happens to look and remind me of the King Von shooting. Didn't King Von's manager or whoever was with him out there that night, and it didn't even show that he was shot? All of a sudden he pops up on crutches. For you guys that know about this, please like the video. I can't make this up. Okay, so Money Making Trail is on crutches just like the guy that was with King Von the night he was shot. But they didn't see him getting shot on video. Anyways, so there's 4 different types of shell casings. Now they're stating here that at least 1 person was taken in for questioning. But then they stated when he got killed that there was an unknown gunman. Now listen to this. While in custody, that person said that he did marketing and he worked for Banks. And he attempted to leave the scene in the SUV because he was emotional about the shooting. Now listen, English and this unknown person that was questioned, these were associates of DThang's and Little Durk's. So how is it they're saying that the unknown gunman got away, but the friends that are with DThang are being questioned? And another thing, this young man tried to take DThang's SUV, and he wanted to leave the scene in the SUV because he stated he was emotional about the shooting. See, I'm going to prove to y'all. Like I said, we're going to get into what happened to DThang, Lil Durk. We getting into it, baby. So for all of my detailers out there that's paying attention, y'all antennas should be going up right now. Listen, I'm not done. The rabbit hole goes deeper. So I'll state that again a little slowly for some of my viewers. At least one person was taken in for questioning. While in custody, that person said that he did marketing work for banks, which is DThang. And he attempted to leave the scene in the SUV because he was emotional about the shooting. Okay, I can't make this up, guys. Now, this person who's not been named, he also told investigators that English, now we're going back to English because I don't want to confuse you guys. English is the guy that shot the police in the thigh. They were tussling. Remember, I just stated that English and the cop were tussling and he was trying to get his gun and he accidentally shot him in the thigh. All of this stuff is going on at the time DThang was murdered, okay? This source is very reliable. However, so he also told investigators that English was among a group that accompanied Banks to the strip club that night and accounted English. He confirmed that. So English did confirm with this person who was interviewed that did marketing for Banks. Now let me state this, guys. Now, DThang had his marketing agent out at Club O with him at the strip club. That doesn't even sound right. I'm just saying, he said he did marketing for him. I'm not saying that he couldn't go to the club. That just does not sit right. Why wasn't security there with DThang? Okay? But this is the person who did marketing for him. That's what he stated, guys. So listen to this part. The person who was taken in for questioning, which was the man who did marketing, and he wanted to get into DThang's SUV right after the shooting and leave because he was emotional. He went on to say that Banks got into an argument with an unknown male who shot him, and then that male fled the scene. So his description of the shooter broadly matched a description that the security personnel provided of one of the individuals involved in the gunfight. And then after that, that's when the police investigated that other fatal shooting hours later. And it sounds like that was a woman. Not for sure. The name just sounds rather feminine. So if you guys were not aware, this was not the first time that DThang was shot. He was actually shot not too long before he was killed a couple of summers ago. And he was fine. But most people didn't know that. This story is not adding up. And it seems like it was all arranged. If you listen, it's like everybody had their story together. Everybody had their story together when they're saying the same shit. But nobody seems to know who this unknown gunman was. Sounds odd to me. Yes, this is DThang in the hospital. She's going to show the bullet wound in his side right there. You see that? That's a bullet wound. He was shot before. This is not the first time he was shot, guys. Pay close attention, please. See, the story sounds so well put together to where they're confusing us, but they're not confusing me. It seems like Mr. English, and like I said, why is a person that's doing marketing for your record label at the strip club with you? That's a business. He's out at the strip club, he's hanging out. This sounds personal. Like I said, guys, to me, this was a backdoor situation. And this goes into the sacrifice. This is not a game. If you guys pay attention to everything that was stated, why was the person name not announced, but English's was? And this was the guy who said he wanted to leave the scene. And the guy that said that he wanted to leave the scene did marketing for DThang on his record label. Well, it's Little Durk's family record label. Remember that, guys? So he does marketing for the record label. I'm telling y'all, it was 3 people there. And then mysteriously, they're both saying the same thing, that the description fit what the security guard said. It sounds like they all came up with a plan to say the same damn thing. Rewind this back and listen to everything I said. Get your pen and paper and write down the notes so you can comprehend what I just said. The guy that was doing marketing for DThang, well, he said he's doing marketing for DThang. OTF is a only family label. That's Little Durk's label, okay? DThang was the artist on his brother's label, okay? And so the marketing person wanted to take DThang's SUV and leave the scene because he was emotional. So in my opinion, guys, if you just go back and listen to everything, pay attention to the details, add everything up, because 1 + 1 = 2 and 2 + 2 = 4. It sounds like there was an imaginary gunman that got away, that there's alleging that got away. Really? To me, guys, it sounds like there was a backdoor situation and that there was a third person, but he was known to Mr. English, and he was also known to this mysterious witness, which was the marketing executive for the record label. I can't make this up, guys. And he was meant to get away. That's why they're trying to pretend that he was unknown. If DThang was 500 feet away and he was shot, don't you think that if they were there with him, they would have clearly seen the gunman? And why was only DThang shot? Now, let's not get it twisted. Money Making Trail was shot, guys. And like I said, he came out on crutches. But if you guys are listening to what I just said, Money Making Trail is nowhere in this report. So how does he pop up on Instagram on crutches? And once again, guys, before I leave you on this note, this is what's stated. It never said that the marketing executive, the person who did marketing, this is how he announced himself in the relationship to DThang that night when he was taken in for questioning. They never said he was shot. And like I said, if you guys look on this picture with the guy with his middle finger up, that is Money Making Trail. So Money Making, I don't know if it's Money Making Trail. It couldn't be, because he got on Instagram with crutches saying that he got shot. Just like King Von's friend or manager that night that helped lift him into the car. We clearly seen that Von was shot. Okay, there were some things going on the side of the building, but I thought I seen the man allegedly lift King Von and put him in the car. And then he gets on Instagram and he's shot as well with crutches, okay? So this sounds like a repeat. And we know that Mr. English was not shot because he left and there was a warrant out for his arrest for accidentally shooting the police in his thigh. Was this all a setup? A distraction? That this is going on over here with Mr. English, and then the marketing person for Little Durk's record label is there and he wants to get in the car and leave because he's emotional after DThang was shot and killed. You wanted to leave the scene. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna have to do my research for the second video. I'm going to try to get the video of Money Making Trail on these crutches. We are going to dig deep. Like I said, guys, get your pencil and pad and come along with me. I think I might go live on the next video. I'm not sure yet, because this would be a very good topic to discuss live about this situation, because if the detectives cannot figure out what I'm seeing, they need to retire. Okay, guys? So please rewind the video back, listen to the first story I talked about, and then listen to the second one and see if everything matches up, because it does not match up. And I guarantee you guys, Little Durk is in the middle of this somewhere. These are the people who were supposed to have been with his brother, protecting his brother. I mean, was they supposed to be protecting his brother, if you know what I mean? Like the video, subscribe to my channel, comment, hit the notification bell, so when I drop the next video, you guys will know. Until the next video, guys, take care.
Yep. But that shit up. Put it up.